Good morning, Mr. Chairman. You are now streaming live on YouTube. I'll take the roll with your permission.
Yes, please do.
Representative Kinner.
Here.
Representative Larson.
Here.
Representative Schwartz.
Here.
Representative Simpson.
Here.
Representative Stiff.
Here.
Representative Walters.
Here.
Senator Guru.
Here.
Senator Hicks.
Here. Here.
Senator Kinski.
Here.
Senator Steinmetz.
Here.
Co-Chairman Nicholas. Chairman Perkins.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum. It appears that the internet is a bit unstable this morning.
When the wind's blowing, they're howling, 30, 40, 50 miles an hour across the state, it probably wiggles those towers a little bit. So we'll see how this all works. I don't really have any opening remarks. We have this, other than the fact that we have this special Management Council approved this extra meeting of the Joint Appropriations Committee, in particular to consider item 2 on the agenda, which is draft legislation concerning federal emergency COVID relief. But Chairman Nicholas and I, not wanting to let an opportunity to meet go to waste, have a number of other bills that are up and that we've worked on. Most of you have seen those, and we've been worked on. We want to continue to do that work and see if we can be ready for next week. So that's all the opening remarks I had. Mr. Co-Chairman, do you have any opening remarks this morning?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Other than I'm unstable.
Yeah, I do think we'll struggle with that a little bit today. Well, the first item on our agenda is consideration of draft legislation 21 LSO 514, Federal Emergency COVID Relief 19 funding. Hopefully we pulled that up and we've got that. Dawn or Matt, Director Olbrich, good morning. Nice to see you. Who's going to take us through this bill this morning? Matt, are you going to do that for us?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good morning.
Where's Mr. Gruber?
I'll go through the bill point by point, but it might be better if Rennie McKay from the governor's office starts out this presentation with a broad overview of the bill.
Well, we always do allow you to phone a friend on these committee hearings if it helps us get the information we need. So, Rennie, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much, Mr. Co-Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning and to talk about this bill. Thank you. I'm glad to be on Director Obrecht's friend list. My name is Rennie McKay. I'm Governor Mark Gordon's policy director. And this morning I'm joined by Erica Legursky and Emily Solai, who are senior policy advisors to the governor. And both of them have expertise related to this bill. Ms. Legursky related to the CARES Act, and Ms. Solai related to the eviction and rental assistance program, that new program created by the federal government in the bill that passed Congress and was signed by the president in December. I want to start by just saying that I really appreciate the opportunity to work collaboratively on this bill that's before you today. Governor Gordon is supportive of this legislation as it's drafted right now. And if you're willing, Mr. Chairman, I will dive into some context and some updates related to the CARES Act first, That's the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And so start with some background, if that sounds good to you.
Please go ahead.
All right. So on that section of the bill related to the CARES Act, the background on that is the federal legislation was signed on March 27th of 2020, and that put out a total of $1.7 trillion into a myriad of programs across the country. One portion of that bill was to provide funding directly to states, local governments, and to tribes. And Wyoming received $1.25 billion, and they put a minimum amount based on a population factor. So that was the smallest amount that a state received. So upon passage, that bill said that the deadline for spending those funds that we received, the 1.25, was December 30th of 2020. And at that point, any unexpended funds were to revert back to the federal government. Additionally, the legislation said that the Inspector General for the Department of the Treasury will audit the state's use of these funds to ensure monies were appropriately spent under the CARES Act, and will disallow any expenditures failing to comply with the CARES Act. And the legislation said the state is responsible to repay to the Department of the Treasury any improperly spent funds. There were and remain some fairly strict parameters on how states and local governments could spend the funds. These funds can only be used for expenses that are, one, necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency, two, not accounted for in the state's most recent budget, and three, incurred between March 1, 2020 and December 30, 2020. However, that deadline did change, and it changed on December 27th of 2020, and it extended by 1 year. So during the past year, the U.S. Department of Treasury issued pages of guidance and frequently asked answers to frequently asked questions. And so some of that guidance changed significantly, and some of that guidance came out slowly. And that was definitely a challenge, I think, for everyone involved in administering these funds, whether it be the state or local government or a tribe. And additionally, in Wyoming, no money went directly to locals. All the money came to the state under the bill that passed Congress in 2020. So then obviously the other factor in how Wyoming used the money was special session. So overall, I believe Wyoming responded as effectively as possible, made some very significant impacts using those CARES Act funds. The categories for programs run in 2020 are outlined in Virus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act funds that was provided to LSO. So you should have that in your inbox, the handout that goes over both the categories of spending and also gives you an update on where the funding and spending. Money, the executive branch used those special session laws and the existing programs to respond effectively to the COVID-19 pandemic and its associated impacts, with the goal of having the money spent or in process of being spent by that deadline that was in the original federal bill. So again, that was December 30, 2020. So I will update you further on the status of those funds in a moment, but I'll start out with a bit more on the programs in Wyoming's response, if that works for you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. I just will pause every now and then to make sure my internet is not broken up and that you're still hearing me. But so again, you can look at that handout for a little bit more about the programs that were run in Wyoming. But Governor Gordon had two main areas of focus during the last year. And again, this was also incorporating what was in the special session law that passed in May. But the two areas of focus were saving lives and protecting people's livelihoods. So thus the two largest categories of programs were, one, fortifying the healthcare system and taking actions to save lives. And then that meant that more than $200 million went into testing, contact tracing, hospital support, mental health care, and long-term care facilities. And one highlight of that is I'll note that Wyoming has tested more per capita than almost any other state in the nation. That coordination by the Department of Health, which included offering free tests to any Wyoming resident, so people could take can still now take an at-home free test. I think is a cornerstone of a response effort. It is very unique in the entire country. On the other side of that, to protect livelihoods, Wyoming invested in economic relief for businesses and people impacted by the economic slowdown. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So again, to protect livelihoods, Wyoming invested in economic relief for businesses and people who were impacted by the economic slowdown caused by the virus. So through the business relief programs that were both created in that statute and also authority to make some quick changes as necessary, more than 419,576 applicants. Those applicants, 39,149 full-time employees. So more than 7,000 unique Wyoming businesses and nonprofits benefit from those programs. Some of these businesses, people, and sectors also did receive
We just missed your
money,
last
like the Paycheck Coronavirus Food Assistance Program for farmers and ranchers. But last year was such a horrific year for so many who either loved one or had economic hardships. So many programs, but we do believe we saved lives and we blunted the crisis we faced. So a crucial example of that is that the hospital support staff program, by December and into January, these dollars helped bring in staff to Wyoming hospitals and long-term care facilities. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. So I believe, hopefully you heard me, but I'll start again, just over the outline of the hospital support program that was run that brought nurses into Wyoming through November, December, and January. And this was crucial because at that point in the year, we had facilities and individuals who were extremely overwhelmed and exhausted. And we really do believe that program made a difference, as others did. Some other programs of note from 2020, Connect Wyoming, which provided internet access in areas where there was no broadband. That allowed the Wyomingites to access telehealth, remote learning, and remote work more seamlessly. The Business Council did an incredible job in 2020. And for that program, they awarded $56 million for 33 projects. And those projects will impact 15 counties and 54 communities by, again, providing broadband to areas of Wyoming that had either no broadband or access at speeds less than 25.3. And to date, 12,817 households and 411 businesses now have service, with a minimum that is 3 times the federal standard. So a huge lead. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if it's all right, it seems like the connection is just very weak. So if I stop my video, you may be able. hear my audio. Should I try that? We did not use the Connect Wyoming program to connect the Capitol.
Rennie?
Mr. Chairman, does
Rennie?
that help at all, at least
Rennie,
to
can you
hear
hear
me?
us?
Rennie?
Rennie, can you hear us?
Rennie?
Mr. Chairman, you hear me at all?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. Chairman Nichols, I think you've been trying
My
to bring
apologies
that
here.
to Rennie's.
Can you hear me at all, Mr. Chairman?
I hear you, Rennie. This is Representative Walters, but I don't know if the rest of the committee can hear.
Yes.
Hang on.
Yeah, I
Bob,
believe you can hear
you-
us. I don't know if that makes any difference or not.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me
It's
at all?
really bring that to our attention. Bob, Mr. Co-Chairman, it's fading in and out.
Rennie, we haven't heard hardly
I
anything
think
you've
this
said.
Yeah, I can hear. And
Nicholas?
if there's anyone that can't hear, raise their hand. Yes. Wow.
Was that can or can't?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll at least continue then. It sounds,
Can everyone hear?
That's funny, but that's funny, Bob. Anybody who can't hear, raise your hand.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Karen is
I
doing
think
this
you're
YouTube on the
can you hear
other
me?
room, and the delay is
No.
almost 10 or 15 seconds between when I speak and when I hear it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is Don. Would the chairs be amenable to a 15 or a recess until 9 a.m. and we will see if we cannot improve the IT connection.
I think Don is discussing.
Okay.
I think, yes.
So Don, do you want to should we take a recess for about 15 minutes? Is that what you said?
Yes.
How about until 9 a.m.? This might take us a little bit.
9 o'clock, I think.
If you can hear me, he said till 9 o'clock.
So if anybody, I don't know if anybody can hear or not, but we'll recess until 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes, 9 o'clock.
So.
Yes, 9
Mary,
o'clock.
let's get the key to Greer's office.